I'm Savannah from Classy Clutter, and today I'm going to show you guys how I made a holiday hanging planter. All of these materials are from the Home Depot, and it's really nice because you can customize it to your exact style and your color palette for your holiday decorations. This is what we're going to be making today in this video. As you can see, I used a very oversized planter, and I also used very traditional colors, including poinsettias and holiday berries. With this tutorial, you can use any size that you want to use as far as the hanging planter goes, and you can also use any other color variation you want to do. Now let's go ahead and get started. What you're going to need to create this hanging planter is a really long piece of garland. I'm using 2 pieces. I'm also using some holiday flowers that are poinsettias and some holiday berries. You can use any type of holiday twigs to do this. I'm also using ornaments, 10 gauge wire, some fishing line, and some 5 gauge wire. Also some wire cutters, pair of scissors, and last but not least, I'm using this giant hanging planter. You can see that it has a hook at the other side of the hanging planter so that when I hang it to the ceiling, it could be easily put into place. If you're planning on using real flowers inside the planter, I would suggest using some bulky paper to fill up the planter just a little bit so you don't have to put so many flowers in it. First, I'm going to cut some of this 10 gauge wire so that I can use it to attach the garland onto the hanging planter. As you can see, there's a little cutting tool at the top of this package that will help you cut the wire with ease. Now I'm going to attach the garland onto the planter. I am putting the wire around the garland and then around the planter and then just twist tying it into place. I make my way around the planter and I just attach it in random different places. Before starting the next row, I am fluffing the garland so I can see where the next row needs to go. Like I said before, I'm using 2 pieces of garland, and so I attach the 2 cords. Then I hide the cords within the branches of the garland. Once I got towards the bottom of the planter, I hung it up where the planter is going to go. That way I could make sure that the garland was going on nice and even and that all of the spots were being filled. If you do not know exactly where this is going to go, see if you can have someone hold the planter so you can see what the bottom of the planter will look like. Once I was all the way done wrapping the planter with the garland, I tucked the cords into place so that you couldn't see them. Then to make sure that everything was nice and even, I spun the planter around, that way I could check for any really obvious holes. Then to make the planter a little bit more festive and a little bit more colorful, I am using some poinsettia stems to add to the planter to add a little bit of color. I'm using the wire cutters to cut the poinsettias pretty short so that I can put them into the garland and not have to hide a huge stem. Since this hanging planter is pretty large, I'm going to be using quite a few poinsettias and quite a few holiday berries. Now I'm placing the poinsettias in some of the holes that I had from when I was attaching the garland. This is where your unique style will come into play. You can use any type of color palette and any type of theme that you want to use. When you're adding different stems though, think about texture. You want to have all different sizes and textures of items. As you can see here, I am using some poinsettias, which are round, and then I'm using some long twigs, also some berries that have a little bit more texture and have different shapes of items. That way you have all different items to look at, and it has so many different textures and so many different shapes and sizes. It adds so much variation and it makes it more interesting to look at. Now that the main part of the planter is all done, I want to add one more fun element. Using the 5 gauge wire, I'm going to cut long pieces of wire to attach some ornaments at the bottom of the planter to add a little bit more dimension and a little bit more fun. I am twist tying the wire onto the ornament through the hole in the top. The wires are all different lengths and I'm going to hang them at all different heights so that adds a little bit more variation. This is another place where you can get really creative and you can add all different kinds and sizes and shapes and colors of ornaments to your planter. And there you have it. You have a really fun, unique, and festive holiday hanging planter. I hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Remember, you can get all of these materials and supplies that you need at the Home Depot, and I hope you guys have an awesome holiday season.